Alright, try this live thing again. I don't know if I can just make sure I don't sound twice. I'll get that out of the way. Let's see here. Alright, so let me see if I can figure this out here. I'm trying to get the chat thing to be on my page, and I think that's why it was encoded incorrectly, so it was recording twice. Maybe. I'll see here in a second. Let's see. Page, and I think that's why it was encoded incorrectly, so it was recording twice. Maybe. I'll see here in a second. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like I'm running pretty low too. Can you hear me right now, or does it sound doubled? Because the video looks like it's pretty slow right now. Looks like I'm on pause. Oh, I had TruthSeeker do some encoding over here, and I wonder if it's too slow, and that's why it's running slow. Oh, that's good. Maybe it's just a delayed reaction too. Oh, I had TruthSeeker do some encoding over here, and I wonder if it's too slow, and that's why it's running slow. Oh, okay. So I think I'm live. I think everything's good. I think it's just that of me watching myself might just be the only delay. So it looks like when you guys are watching it, it should be totally fine then. So that's a plus. Now I just got to figure out how to add the chat to my editing thing. I always like to try to figure this stuff out before I ask for help. But hey, if you guys can watch it, that's great. So if you guys can hear me, how are you guys doing? Alright, that's good, Talia. Thanks for joining. It looks like I got 4 viewers. That's a plus. That's why I want to start doing the the YouTube live thing, because that way then I can interact with you guys better. And it's a lot easier to interact on this than it is on Facebook, because I can't really see. Yep. So yeah, so there's a delay. That's all good. That's definitely all good. But looks like this is good. So now I just got to figure out the paste the live chat thing. But it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, life's pretty good. Just trying to start my day. Don't really have anything too much to share today. I mean, there's definitely lots of things we could talk about. I mean, if there's like questions or any kind of topic you want to talk about, definitely let me know. I'm going to play around with this live thing for a little bit, see if I can get the chat to show up without it being a double. I don't know. I might just have to ask Derek what to do. And it's weird too, because I'm on the internet, the Explorer. That seems to be the only way you can go live. But if I try to like go live instantly, it tells me I need to download Google Chrome. So I downloaded Google Chrome, but I don't know how to encode from there, so I'm not too sure how that works. I might be able to. Let me see here. I don't know if it'll let me or not. Nope. Okay, well, I'll have to figure out the chat thing way later. Alrighty then. Well, I guess. What do I should talk about? I don't know. I'm at a blank right now. So, if you guys don't have any questions, I might just end this since this was successful. That's a plus. What about all the Earth changes? Oh man. That definitely is an interesting topic right there. I don't know. It's really hard to say about the Earth changes. You hear so many different things. I was talking about this on the podcast with some people in the School of the Mystics, and like everybody's like getting blown out of proportion with all these Earth changes. Like people are talking about Yellowstone and how it's ready to erupt and stuff like that. And I live not too far away from Yellowstone. And, nothing's really happening, but I've always been curious because I haven't been to Yellowstone. So, YouTuber named Leak Project, great stuff to watch. He went to Yellowstone and he says it's all good. He did live footage and everything, and he definitely said, it's erupting more than normal, but it's all good. I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary out of there. So, that brings in the whole, false news of, you can't really believe, you can't really believe what everybody says. You really just have to kind of discover for yourself. And that's where, like, the fear factor comes in of, oh, hey, if we say that all this stuff is going on, you're going to fall into the fear factor. But, as a whole, I think you just have to pay attention to what's going on. I mean, honestly, the stuff that's going on right now really isn't nothing new. I mean, probably the greatest um, scenario that's happening was the volcano in Hawaii. Now that's definitely, a big deal, but that's been documented and discussed before that they've been waiting for that volcano to erupt there. And it really hasn't. I mean, it's been a big impact over there, but it's kind of been rather quiet, so I don't really know what's going on over there. But I think that's pretty much the only one right now. I mean, I haven't really seen anything else. Where I live in Wyoming. Um, Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, there was 3 days without clouds. That was kind of bizarre. um, but we got kind of misty clouds yesterday. Definitely weren't natural clouds, but that's about it. Just kind of a hazy look, but nothing out of the ordinary. And if you do research on a lot of things like the hurricanes and stuff like that, it's really nothing new. It's just the earth cleansing and changing itself. And I don't know. There really isn't much out of the ordinary. I think it's really how you present it. Like say with the energies itself. It's how you present the energies. How do you feel during the energies? That's where a lot of people are well, the sun is radiating a solar flare, and we're going to be feeling the impact from it, right? But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Sometimes I resonate with what people say. Sometimes I don't. Same with the moon cycles. We got a full moon going on. I think we're like the second or third day in the full moon. And it just definitely depends on how you feel. But it's don't focus on the gloom and doom. I think that's really what a lot of people are really focusing on. Antarctica, definitely. There's a lot of interesting stuff in Antarctica. I'm very fascinated with Antarctica. There's a lot of interesting things going on. Um, there's definitely signs that the ice is melting over there. That's definitely no big surprise, and there's a lot of discoveries in Antarctica too. Hey, how's it going? Don't know how to say that. Tyrone's Tyrene's Garden, maybe. uh, so yeah, Antarctica. There's definitely a lot going on over there. There's a lot of interesting structures being found. My sister's name is Talia. Synchronicities right there. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting structures being found in Antarctica. Like a lot of pyramids are showing up, and um, man, there's a lot of stuff going on over there. And I definitely pay attention to that. I really think that's like the gold mine of change right now is Antarctica. Um, and it was talked about too, like when they're talking about the whole global warming thing. Antarctica is definitely the foundation of that, and that's where they kind of look at that. When I don't remember his name. I think it was Al Gore back in the day when he was freaking out about the global warming. Was talking about Antarctica. Um, then you can look at Antarctica too, because I mean that's where all the world leaders come together, and they do trading exchanges in Antarctica. And that's definitely no surprise. That's on the news too. A lot of people go to Antarctica to do some kind of trading. Um, and it brings into the theory of it is there stuff that we're trying to keep away, you know? Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, I hope I'm saying your name right. Uh, Tareen says the supposed hole in the middle of Antarctica going inside the Earth. Oh yeah, that's a big deal right there. And that brings into another, theory of, like, say, the sun that we see outside really isn't the universal sun, right? It's really the Earth's sun, and it's just a reflection of that. Um, and like with aurora borealis, they say too that that's caused from the middle of the Earth as well. So there's definitely a lot of things. I've never been there personally, so I don't really know exactly, but there's definitely a lot going on. Torin, Torin, Torin. Okay, that sounds good. Torin. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting things that happen. And I talk about the Book of Enoch too. I really need to read that all the way. I gotta order me a copy of the Book of Enoch. But they talk heavily about on how the fallen angels originated from there. We got the giants that originate there and things like that. So there's definitely a lot going on. But yeah, I definitely feel like there's some kind of ice barrier over there. And then that brings into the whole flat earth thing, and I'm not going to talk too much into it, but I really do feel that, that if you view the North Pole and the South Pole, right? We got the globe, Earth Pole, or the North Pole and the South Pole, and you kind of shrink it down. That brings, um, basically you want to view Antarctica as the middle, right? I think that would be it. Yeah, Antarctica as the middle, and then the North Pole um, would be around the dome or the globe, which you mean ice structure. Um, I think that's how I viewed it. That kind of makes sense to me, anyways. And that Antarctica would be the middle point. And they say, Antarctica also could be the Garden of Eden as well. Yeah, that's what I read. You can get the Book of Enoch for free. I might have to do that. Um, so yeah, so you can view Antarctica maybe as the Garden of Eden, and that it was frozen over. I mean, there used to be big trees all over the place, like humongous trees, man, all over. And you can see proof of that all over the world. Like the Devil's Tower, I went and visited that. And or the thing that fascinated me when I was there is I was trying to figure out for the life of me of why there was so much. It was like it was trees. There was just tree vines all over the place, and I was like, man, where in the world are all these tree vines coming from? It'd be a symbolism of a big tree. But I didn't really know about tree trunks all over the world at that time. But it makes a lot of sense now, that the Devil's Tower is a big tree trunk, and it was cut down somewhere down the road, and that explains why I saw all the vines um, from a tree there. So it's quite fascinating, and it makes you really realize, just if the world was full of humongous, man, I don't even know how you would even 50,000 feet, 100,000 feet, you know, million thousand feet. I don't know how big these trees were, man, but they were huge. They were huge, and why were they chopped down? I don't know. Is it to keep us away from the heavens? And there's definitely another theory with that too, where the tree vines turned into stone. They were petrified, that's for sure. Um, Definitely, but it's been a while since I was there. Man, when did I go to? I think that was in 2013 or 14, I believe. But I would say they were petrified. I wouldn't say they're turned to stone. But I do know where you're getting from that though, because back in the day, the world was silicone based, so everything was different. And with it being silicone based, it really kind of paves the way to realization of, hey, when everybody was carving things into stone, right, they were really carving it into wood. And so it'd be easy to carve stuff in wood. And then when the world became carbon based, and I think the only reason why the world became carbon based was because all the trees were cut down. So the whole oxygen and atmosphere changed and everything turned to stone. So everything that we perceive as carved in the stone was really alive at one time. It's bizarre stuff. I mean, you can go into a lot of interesting details in that aspect. Definitely, for sure. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can make changes to this. So let's transition. Let's see here. And it makes you wonder too, you know, with life forms being silicone based, if that was the original intentions of this earth, you know, that, you know, what would cause us to be that kind of form. You look into silicone, and silicone is definitely a different structure. Alright, perfect. So I can change my screen on live, so that's a plus. So I just gotta figure out the chat thing. Huh. You hear my kids in the background burping. But yeah, we live in an interesting world, that's for sure. And I wonder what kind of genetic encoding we're going to be transforming ourselves into next. I mean, with a lack of trees and everything. See, Talea says the trees could have a link to higher consciousness and vibrations, just like some of our majestic mountains. Yeah, very true. And that brings up like the Mount Shasta. Man, I want to go to Mount Shasta so bad. All this stuff, you know, all these places I want to visit is like 24 hours away, so like it'd take a day and a half to get there. But I guess Mount Shasta, you know, has a lot of crystals underneath. So that's why it's such a magical environment, because of crystal based. You know, this whole Earth has a lot of crystals. Again, Antarctica. Man, you go into some of them caves, you just see crystals all over the place. So, and crystals, you know, they download information that can be encoded if you know how to encode that stuff. But yeah, Mount Shasta, man, that's something else. That's a very magical place. I'd love to go visit there. And no matter how many times that people record their discoveries there, they always talk about how there's beings that walk around them constantly, you know, and that they're cloaked in some way. You know, I don't know if they use some kind of cloaking technology or if it's just that the veil is thin, um, so you can interact with them. Man, I want to go there so bad. I'm trying to get my wife to make a vacation out of it. I basically pay the bills, and then she works to pay for the vacations. So and we work together to get there. So I've been trying to get her to go to some of these places. Um, but hopefully, you know, my plan is to get this channel built and going live. You know, that really helps me out, is to get this channel built so I can start, you know, asking for donations, so I can start going to these places and meeting you guys. So I'm trying to look into uh, that area as well. So that's why I want to interact with you guys more, so I kind of see what kind of audience I got. But yeah, anyways, so what I was getting at is, you know, if the trees were like, you know, 1,000,000 feet high, right? That's kind of over exaggerating. But this makes me wonder if, you know, we have like floating islands and spaceships and stuff. You know, if we were that high in the trees, we could interact with those floating islands. And that'd be a whole different realm. And it says in the Bible too, that humans were building high into the heavens, and God, right? God destroyed the ladder and made all the languages of humanity where they couldn't work together. And it really talks about that, and it makes me think that all the trees that got cut down was to keep us from what goes on in the heavens. I mean, if you think about all these floating islands and ships up in the sky, that'd be a whole life, a whole community going on up there. And there's definitely a lot of proof. I talked about this, man, in one of the chats I was in, and they use cloaking devices to hide that from us. And it brought me into an interesting theory that with these chemtrails going on, but with all these cloaking devices, we perceive chemtrails as a way of them spraying the sky, so then they poison us and kind of dumb us down, or they modify the weather, which that could be what the chemtrails do too. But I wonder if chemtrails are used to unveil the cloaking technology, right? To unveil the cloaking technology. Because, say, if you're cloaked, the only way you could really see if something is cloaked and moving would be to put clouds in the sky. So you can see if the cloud structures move and change. So that's definitely, I think that's something that we need to look at too when they're spraying the skies. And that would make sense too, because I mean, they do weird formations in the sky, like in like big cities and stuff. They'll do like stripes. They'll go one way and then they'll go another way. So it looks like, like tic-tac-toe game, right? They'll have squares in the sky all over the place. So I mean, if you're trying to find something that's cloaked in the sky, that's definitely a best way to look at that. That's definitely an interesting topic that I'm looking into, is trying to discover the cloaking technology. I mean, our government has cloaking technology. There's no denying that. The cloaking technology is basically using mirrors, so it just mirrors the sky. So I mean, if you had clouds, it would just mirror off of that. It would just mirror the clouds, so you could just easily be hidden in the clouds. And that's where I was talking about on how some clouds, I swear, there's clouds, like big clouds, that just don't move. They just stay in one spot. But you'll see other clouds moving. So you see clouds moving, but you just see this big cloud just standing still. So that definitely tells me that there's something going on in the sky. The sky is fascinating. It really is. The stars are fascinating, and you do research on the stars themselves, um, and those stars can actually be beings. I mean, they could be planets, but it's hard to say. Are the stars in our atmosphere? Are they within the dome, right? Or are they outside the dome? I don't know. I never flown in space, but definitely those options are becoming more and more available. I mean, you gotta spend like, man, what was I reading? $50 million or something like that to fly in some kind of space shuttle or something like that. $50 million. I mean, that tells me right there, that NASA and everybody don't want you to go up there, unless if you're rich. It's insane, man. $50 million to go explore space, when you can go in and get a plane ticket for $150 or higher, right? And then you can fly in the sky that way. So it's bizarre. I don't really get it. But that also brings another thing too. Is they say that the higher altitude you go, the colder it gets, right? The colder it gets, the higher you go. And this brings into, on how the sun works, right? So like, say if I go outside right now, which I'm gonna have to cut this short, I gotta move the water outside. But But you go outside, it feels real hot, right? It feels real hot, and we're at a lower altitude. But the weird thing is, the higher you go, so say you're hiking on a mountain or something like that, the higher you go on the mountain, the cooler it gets. The cooler it gets. So, it even snows in high altitude mountains, right? Even around now. So this brings to the conclusion that the sun itself is not what keeps the earth heated. It is the earth that is heating, right? It's the earth that is heating. So there's a lot of different factors on how just our whole environment is not what we're being told it is. I mean, it makes no sense why the higher you go, the colder it gets. Same with airplanes, right? If an airplane continues to go higher and higher and higher, it creates icicles around it. It creates icicles around it. So it makes no sense. We were taught that when the space shuttle, right, goes up in the sky, it creates a fiery ring around it. That makes no sense either. It makes no sense. And we see views from the space station, perceived looking down at Earth. Where's the ice crystals that should be surrounding the camera and the space station? There's nothing. They have also they also have that car in the sky, that Tesla car, I think it is, and there is no ice at all. I mean, literally, there should be some kind of ice surrounding that car. The windows should have cracked and broke because of the perceived temperature drop. Man, I don't even know what kind of temperature it'd be. I think it'd be like, I don't know, 300, minus 300 degrees, if not more. So that would break everything. Anything that was man-made structured, that would turn into ice. So oh man, NASA has just messed themselves up so bad. It's a joke, and I really think that because NASA runs space, right? That they can say whatever they want because they're up in space. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. But it sounds like my wife's home too, so I'm gonna have to cut this short because otherwise, yeah, she's gonna come in here and say, "What you doing?" So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. It looks like this was successful live, so I'll definitely be doing these a lot more. I definitely got to figure out the chat thing, so I got to talk with my brother Derek and see if he can help me out with that. So yeah, so thank you guys for joining me on the chat, and I'll definitely start bringing more things to the table with these live things. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So thank you guys for joining, and I will talk to you guys later. Love yourself, keep shining bright, and I'll talk to you guys later.